Hello and welcome to Future Ready Insights, the podcast where we explore the latest breakthroughs in technology, business strategies and artificial intelligence. Each episode we dive into the trends shaping tomorrow's workforce and uncover actionable advice to help you stay ahead in this rapidly changing world. Whether you're a business leader, a tech enthusiast, or you're just curious about what's next, we're here to guide you through the innovations, challenges and opportunities that are defining the future. And if you've just discovered us, we really appreciate it if you like this video and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us. We're going to start with our top 5 headlines of the week and finish with 4 actionable pieces of advice you can use in your organisation. On to our headlines. And whilst we've seen some terrible flooding here in southern Spain, this week has also been one of the more quietest weeks in AI news. Sure, there's been heaps of announcements of rounds of funding for growth on most of the big platforms and even more new Apple devices. But that's all a bit meh. That gives us some time to focus on some different AI stories that you might have missed. And the biggest one is from Eric Schmidt, the former Google CEO. He's been talking this week, he co-authored a paper warning against a so-called AI Manhattan project, which is a government-led high-speed push for artificial general intelligence, also known as AGI. It's similar to how the US developed a nuclear weapons program in World War II. This is the scale of what we're talking about here. He's arguing that this military-style AI race that we feel that we're in at the moment, especially against larger powers like China, could be really dangerous, triggering global instability, ethical risks, and unchecked AI power. He believes AI development should stay in private sector hands, and gradually with regulation, rather than being rushed in secret by governments. So why does any of this matter, and how much of a view do we have on this? So because AGI isn't just another tech innovation, it really could reshape economy, security, and even society itself. If it's developed recklessly in the wrong hands, it's likely going to outpace the safety measures and lead to unforeseen consequences. So his challenges make us consider whether AI should be controlled by governments, corporations, or international bodies. And around the world, there are so many different AI bodies now set up to safeguard interests of society against the dangers of AI because it's so powerful if it falls into the wrong hands. But we've seen some of the interesting developments lately where corporations, if technology is in the wrong hands, it doesn't matter what we think, it doesn't even matter what governments think, then those corporations can make their own policies. But then if we're talking about governments that could develop things in secret against the wishes of society, and is it anything different than what we have now with existing weapons programs? A lot of it we don't even know about anyway. I'm not saying we should just dismiss this. We should all have a say, understanding what's the way to go ahead with this. And now this technology is out there, can we really regulate it or not? And interestingly, that's one of the points I'm talking about in my PhD at the moment. So this is really interesting for me, but it should be really interesting for all of us. So what do you think? I'd love to hear your comments and your views. Should AI be government priority, or should we all be slowing down and regulate before we go too far? The link to this story is in the show notes below. But if you've got some comments, I'd love to hear what you have to say. On to our second story, integrating AI across 43,000 locations. So my easy headlines like, would you like chips with that? It's more of a play on words with silicon chips, but that's best I could come up with. But it's usually, would you like fries with that? Anyway, it's my feeble attempt to try and come up with a humorous headline. McDonald's is implementing AI technologies, including smart kitchen equipment and AI-enabled drive-thrus across its global outlets to enhance service speed and reduce employee stress. And so the initiative aims to expand the customer base significantly by 2027. So this isn't all just about efficiency and service. It's also about increasing sales and making generally a better experience when you go into McDonald's. So upgrades will start with the internet-connected kitchen equipment, it's a mouthful, and AI-enabled drive-thrus and AI-powered tools for managers to help make sure that orders are accurate and the restaurants can predict equipment issues before they shut down. I think this all sounds really exciting. Certainly, if it makes for a better experience, then this is great. It's well worth noting that in 2021, McDonald's teamed up with IBM to use AI software to take customers' orders, but ended the trial in 2024 after angry customers received items that they didn't order. But it's interesting. Technology has come on a lot in the last few years. It'd be interesting to see how this is all going to work. And it just sounds exciting. On to the next story, and I came across this very strangely on a Spanish news site, and I've not seen it mentioned elsewhere. Aldi, the German supermarket, is piloting Aldi Shopping Go, that's the name of the initiative, in a London store. So once inside, the customer can pick up the products they're interested in, and a complete system of cameras and sensors will automatically generate their shopping ticket, their receipt. So on leaving the supermarket, Aldi will directly charge the customer for the purchase through its app and deduct the £10 deposit that was originally charged. And if the purchase is less than that, then the rest of the money is refunded. And if nothing's purchased, the full deposit is returned. So this is very similar to Amazon Fresh, who've been trialing something in the UK and other cities, more notably across the US. But it's been fraught with lots of problems. And I had a look today at some of the reviews, and they seem quite shocking with the different problems that they're having. So check out the link in the show notes if you're interested to read about that. So it'd be really interesting to see if LD can solve all of these problems. And if they do, we're going to start to see a new retail revolution. So I think it's a really big one to watch. It's a small story, but can have actually a real large impact. Next up, BBC News, they're establishing an AI department. And this is all about focusing on integrating AI technologies, about tailoring content, so news content to individual audience preferences, but targeting the under 25s who mainly consume news via smartphones and social media platforms like TikTok. So again, it'd be interesting to see what they sort of come up with, how quickly news as it breaks will they be able to get that out to people, and how it's delivered. At the moment we see it on TV, we see it via notifications, but imagine if real-time news is being into reality glasses. So it'll be interesting to see what they come up with. And lastly, it's a bit of a selfish and shameless plug here, but it's still AI news. Our company, Duca Digital Training, was ranked second in the UK by Fine Courses for studying a course in artificial intelligence. We've been really working hard in this field now for over 5 years. And I personally remember people sort of back pre-COVID times, they used to shudder and squirm when I mentioned artificial intelligence and like, well, it's not for me. But now it's everywhere. So that's a big congratulations to us. All the links to the stories I've discussed are in the show notes. Let me know your thoughts about the news stories we've talked about, and feel free to share links to interesting news that you think that we should talk about. In the second part of this podcast, let's move on to actionable insights for businesses. So we've got real tips and guidance in business and tech areas for you to use in your role and organisation. First up, business analysis. Don't just gather requirements, challenge them. This is a really interesting one. A common mistake in business analysis is assuming that stakeholder requests. So who are stakeholders? So it could be your customers, it could be shareholders. There's a lot of different people come under this. But their requests should always be implemented. Not so. Instead of just gathering a list of what their requirements are, we should challenge them. So by asking, what problem does this solve? Or what would happen if we didn't implement this? Especially around things like AI, people do believe like technology will just solve everything. And you will find people will say, well, let's just get an app. Let's get a new website. Let's get one of these chatbots. Let's do this. What would it actually do? So if we take this approach, it ensures solutions will be fit for purpose if they're delivered, rather than just meeting a wish list and keeping all our stakeholders happy. So a well-challenged requirement leads to smarter decision-making and avoids wasted resources. On to our next point on AI, but AI needing human oversight. AI, as we know, can process vast amounts of data and automate tasks, but it still requires human judgment. People forget about this. I say people, and to talk about organizations as well, there's a degree of complacency that once we've got an AI solution, that is just down to the AI to carry on from the point of when it's deployed, with little oversight, just little testing to making sure that it's actually doing what it's supposed to be doing effectively. Is it working well? Are we giving it the right data? What type of data are we giving? Where do the data come from? Really challenging it to making sure it's delivering the right level of quality of results. So whether we're using AI for decision making, content generation, or automation, we've always got to validate these outputs before we act on them. So AI, if you don't know, it's prone to hallucinations. It kind of makes things up sometimes. It's also prone to bias and errors. So we have to have human oversight. We need somebody or a body or a group of people to ensure accuracy, fairness, and alignment with business objectives. We need to treat AI as a powerful assistant, not an unquestioned authority. Less of the computer says this is what we have to do, so we have to do it. Computer says no, that famous comedy sketch in the UK. We shouldn't be just fully reliant on just on that decision. So if somebody queries if something's wrong, we need to be looking into it. Hopefully, we shouldn't be allowing mistakes and problems to happen. We should nip them in the bud before they actually become a problem. Data protection, and we're talking about passwords here. So a strong password policy is just not enough. So many organizations rely on these strong password policies, but the policies alone are not enough to keep data secure. So to truly protect sensitive information, multi-factor authentication, MFA, is really the way ahead. And we're seeing a lot of that at the moment. I'm seeing a lot of websites and a lot of organizations really implementing this. It's a really good topic to talk about. We need to educate employees on phishing risks. So phishing, this is about, an example could be an email pretending to be from one of your suppliers, or opening a PDF with like hidden code in there, and ensure passwords are not being reused across platforms. MFA, education and training, and then about passwords, not sharing them across lots of platforms. This all comes under the banner of cybersecurity, and it's about layers. And businesses that rely just on passwords are leaving the door half open to cyber threats. I'm still really shocked about passwords and how many organizations will just freely sort of give them out. It really is dangerous to do. You might be using a password that you'll remember. It's likely to be the same password you might use elsewhere, for example, like your banking. And just little bits of information here and there, fraudsters can really start to join up the gaps. It's really not that difficult. So please do not share your passwords with anybody. Finally, IT leadership. Leading change by finding your champions. I love this. This is something I'm a really big fan of. Change in any organization can be really difficult, especially in IT, and especially when teams are resistant to new technologies or processes. You've only just got used to how you and then now they've changed again. This is where this is coming from. So one of the most effective ways to get buy-in, so get your stakeholder buy-in from your employees or your customers or your shareholders, is to find change champions. So these are the team members who believe in the benefits of the change and they can influence their colleagues positively. So these are like influencers on social media. Rather than the business keep shouting about the product, let somebody else talk about it. Let somebody who's actually eaten the lasagna that you want to shout about, tell the story why they think it's so great. This is why this kind of works. Because people listen to other people, but they don't necessarily trust the organizations because you think, well, they're going to say that anyway. They're not going to say bad things about the organization to get you to make them believe that what you're selling or you're showing is the best solution or the best product to buy. So with champions, let them test a new system, share the success stories, and let them address the concerns. People trust their peers more than management, so use this to your advantage. I hope you found this podcast really helpful. You might be interested to learn more about some of our accredited courses in these subjects on our website, duperdigitaltraining.com. But that's it for this week. And if you enjoyed this edition, please like and subscribe. It just takes a few seconds and it really helps us reach more people. Do let me know your comments and thoughts about any of the headlines and insights we've talked about. And thanks. Have a great week ahead.